When I learned that information, I just went switch off TV, switch off mainstream music, switch off mainstream radio. And then I started putting in some content that was powerful, that was empowering. Hypnosis recordings, affirmations, all these things to reprogram my mind. It's like going to a gym, right? You want to go to the gym and get big arms? You got to go and do some work, mate. You got to go in there and do some bicep curls. You got to go to the mental gym. You got to switch off the crap that you're putting in through your eyes. You got to understand the music you're listening to is probably programming you to do some pretty insane shit. So I'd be getting that out of your ears and putting in some empowering content. The more empowering content you surround yourself with through your eyes, through your ears, that will change your life because you're then reprogramming your mind. You're retraining your mind. You can do that. You're well on the way.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Farking the Shoulds vlogcast. I am Jodie from Quanta Mama.
And I am McGill from Quanta Papa.
I know, we get to see McGill, isn't that awesome? And today we are so excited because we're going to actually have a chat with a very cool, I don't know if I could call you a young man because I technically could be your mother, but Nathan Francis, who rolls through life, I think a bit like us. He's just grabbing life by the balls and going, okay, what can I do next? This guy is amazing and I can't wait for you guys to hear from him, but he has a book coming out. He is a coach. He is talking the talk on radical responsibility and getting the most out of this incredible experience that we call life. He's a documentary filmmaker. He has a podcast called the Breaking Free podcast, which has epic conversations essentially about breaking free. He's a Reiki master. He is a cool guy, and we're going to hear from him. And we have no idea where this conversation is going to go because, as you know, you beautiful Quanta folk, we're into just farking the shoulds and finding the juice of all conversations. So, Nathan, thanks for coming and joining us.
No worries. Very glad that we found each other through that documentary that I didn't think I was ever going to make, but here we are. But yeah, very grateful that we met through that. Actually very grateful that Jess, a shout out to Jess, the friend of mine, I'm with her son, and yeah, very grateful. She said, you should reach out to Jodie, and I'm very grateful I've seen that email. This energy's good though. I love this podcast.
Thank you, Jess. Absolutely. It's the 6 degrees of separation, isn't it? We're just reducing it down as best we can. And we've already had a really great conversation that unexpectedly went to home birth places, but we were connecting from a homeschool point of view or just unpackaging education or unburdening education. And I would really love if you are keen to share on that, on even how that fits in with your ethos of what you're doing, because you're working with young people, and I think at the coalface, really looking to empower particularly young men out of the trappings that is modern life that keeps us enslaved.
Yeah, it's a really big topic, isn't it? And I know for me, I was one of those young men. I was your everyday young man growing up. Like, I love my footy, I love my cricket. But then as you sort of get older, you then love the alcohol, you then love the women and girls' attention, and you sort of get in this cycle and this rut of, you think you're living this awesome life, you think you're living like a king, and you look at the movies and the TV shows, you have characters like Stifler, you have characters like Charlie Sheen in all these movies and like Two and a Half Men and American Pie, and you're getting that on a subconscious level of that's what it's like, or that's what it's perceived to be, this king, to be this guy that has his beach house, he has the women, he has the hot tub, and it's like, that's not really being a king because women don't like being treated like that. And on the inside, that man's just broken. And then you look at the other characters that they portray in the show, like the ones that have the family and the stable job, and that's more programming too. But you look at the person that's got the family in that, they're perceived as like this loser. Like, look at Alan in Two and a Half Men. Yeah. Great example. Like, it's the opposite. And for me, I lived that life like Charlie and Stifler. I would talk about women in a horrible way. I would do all those things, and I thought that was being a king, but actually wasn't. And it was a moment I had that realization where I was like, well, I'm doing these things because I was they're not true to me. That they'll put there by that TV show, by that movie. Pornography is another one. It's all these things is mixed into one big bag, and I'm like, well, which one's mine? Like, what's true to me? And asking that question set me off on that journey of self-discovery. And
What?
I'll never forget the night that I was talking to three young girls. This is the night I looked in the mirror and said, look, Nath, you're not going to be drinking anymore. There's something better out here for you. I had no idea what it was. I just set an intention. Looked in the mirror and went, right, there's something better than sleeping around and drinking and doing all those things. I'm like, there's got to be something better. And I looked in the mirror, had one last night, and about 12 hours later, I'm sitting on this plastic table and there's a few young girls there and I'm just doing my thing, just doing my thing. And I fall through that table and I hit the ground. And it's like, well, that's my moment. Like, what are you going to do now? Are you going to keep going, or are you going to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start that journey? And I've had a lot of, I guess you could say, confirmation since that night of, yeah, I made that conscious choice of there's another way. And then a few hours later, I'm pretty high, pretty hungover, as I used to be for most Sundays. And this podcast dropped that Dale actually got one of my mentors. He suggested to another podcast guy that I've had on my show too, Adrian, that he should interview Jason Christoph. And I'll listen to that podcast. He was talking about self-sabotage and how he runs a self-sabotage coaching program and talks a lot about the subconscious mind and the programming behind it and how things aren't organic to you. And he was talking and I was like, fuck. Like, I have negative thoughts. I'm running on this program of, I didn't know what the program was, but I knew it wasn't me. And I'm like, far out. I need to look at this further and then sort of go on my journey of the self-discovery of what I'm all about and how I function and what my programming is. And yeah, doing his program, it was more of a remembrance. I knew all this stuff about the subconscious. I've done this in many lives. And as soon as he was talking, I was like a sponge. I was like all these things were popping off. I'm like, I remember, I just had this awakening of, I knew all this information. I just needed someone to put it in a way that I could understand it in this life, because I knew about the subconscious. I knew about how energy works. I knew how the world works. I knew pyramids. I knew spiritual stuff. Like, I was just remembering everything all at once. And I'm like, yeah, putting it all together took me a couple of years to sort of understand my place here and my role here. And I knew I was here to do some pretty cool shit. And I feel like now, 2.5 years later, or 3 years later, I'm stepping into that cool shit now, having put all that together. And yeah, things just keep popping off, like a documentary. Like, yeah, I didn't think I'd be sitting here talking about a filmmaking thing that I'm going to be doing. There's just so many cool things that once you sort of go on that journey, that you can do some pretty cool shit. And once you have that belief system of, I can do it rather than I can't do it, change that. Yeah, you can do anything. And making a film, well, yeah, 16-year-old Nate had no idea when he was at school learning media. I don't know, 15 years later, here I am, relearning media.
Yeah, it's a new ballgame now.
That's sort of my journey for you, and a little bit of a spiel.
McGill was all lit up by what you were talking
Yeah,
about. I can feel him getting all tense, like he's got something to.
I want to ask you so many questions.
I'll bring it on.
There really is a programming in society that, we elevate the wrong people.
Yep.
And your beautiful analogy with 2.5 Men is probably about as good as it gets, because there is that real celebration of that person that is breaking all the rules, doing all the things that in your heart aren't right, because they're not beneficial to you, they're not beneficial to the people around you, and then that putting down of the family. And I do wonder sometimes, how do we get to that point?
I ask that question all the time.
And I guess, if Jody says before, not that she looks at it in any way, shape or form, but she could be old enough to be your mum and I could be old enough to be your dad. I want to know where men tend to fail, where we get caught in that trap that you were in when you were sitting on that plastic table and you just happened to have enough to go, that was my moment from the universe to make a choice. And clearly you've made that choice. So how do we bring that empowerment and that language to leaders, to dads, to fathers, to then pass on to their sons, and then to those guys that are in that cycle? How do we get them to see that there is another option if they want it?
just to let them know that they're not broken and that we have feelings and emotions as well, and it's okay to feel them. And I believe it's about, look, you look at the relationship dynamic. I'm not in one, but you go, well, the male holds space for the female, but then who holds space for the male? The male needs to feel safe and supported and emotionally heard. So it's like a two-way street. We need I guess we probably just need males holding space for other males to be like, how are you feeling today? If you're sad, here's a space. Allow that emotion to come out. And then ask, begin that opening up of, why are you sad? Are you sad because at 14 someone did something to you? Are you sad because something happened in school? You were told that you weren't worthy. Like, why are you sad? Why are you angry? But it's okay to feel sad and angry. But then when the man's feeling happy and joyful, don't just bash him and say, oh, you're too happy. It's like, feel happy, feel joyful, feel the good, the bad, and the ugly. But I don't think men are feeling. We're parking it in like this box and putting it over there and saying, I'll deal with that another time. Whatever it is, we'll park it over there and we'll dust ourselves off and we'll get going. It's like a generational psychological program of men. Don't ask for help. It's a sign of weakness. No offense, McGill, but your age group is big on that.
Oh, definitely.
He knows.
And it's
been
grandfather as well. You know, they just don't ask for help because you just got to dust it off and get on with it. And don't cry either, because crying is a sign of weakness. It's like, no, it's the opposite. It's a sign of strength. And I feel like I'm here, we're here to break that spell and be like, no, men, it's okay to cry. Like, there's a video of me viral on the internet somewhere where I just cried. I said, look, I've spent half an hour on the ground here. I'm crying. This is like, I don't know why, but I just was. It's like, well, we need to feel that. Men need to feel. Yes, women are the feelers and all that stuff, but men also have emotions. We feel things. We just don't know how to express them because we're not feeling like we're safe and we're heard.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why men's circles are so important. Not men's circles around a pool with beers and different things. No, men's circles around a campfire with some kombucha and some water or something healthy and just asking a question. How are you feeling today?
Yeah.
And having a chat in a fire.
Share.
Yeah.
It's funny what you say about that because one of the things that I think that society has intentionally constructed for us is this idea that women do need support and therefore don't have capacity to support their men. And one of the things that we have been through in the last year is very intentionally, like McGill's had some moments of challenge and I have held space in my version of holding space. So he didn't quite get the theirs. He got the, you get to choose in this moment how you move forward, right?
Yeah.
It was a little bit more of a tough love, but I felt like it was okay for him and he knew he could share in that space. But it's almost like we need to remember also that women hold space for each other. They hold space for children a lot. And there's this idea that they're fatigued and somehow they've had enough. And I just call bullshit on that because you got to support your men. Your men need to feel like they can come and talk to you. And one thing that McGill's always said is that when he was looking for me clearly, he was looking for his equal. And when I came into his life, he was like, oh, that's her. So he got that. And I wonder if part of that is understanding that we are equals with different skill sets in that way. Like we need to break that down so men don't have to hold and just become this vessel of emotional garbage that they never get to empty.
Because if you keep that garbage full, look at the world today. Like, do I need to say any more? Might be a mic drop moment. Like, look at the world today. You have these men that aren't men. They're still little boys. Those little boys haven't been told or given the things that they wanted in those moments, and they've carried them around for a very long time. And they're just little children that just weren't told 3 simple words. I love you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that emotional, I don't even think it's emotional resilience. It's emotional sort of shepherding and mentorship of children. And I think that leads us neatly into the work that you're doing with young people, because you are a voice of that. I mean, we're a voice of that in a small way with our children, which may or may not work out as life's great experiment. And we're doing our level best to bring that to other parents. But, you know, your net is cast far wider. And how are you finding languaging or getting through or breaking that spell, you know, without giving everyone a plastic table to sit on and fall through? How do you do that?
Well, I feel like in the work that I'm doing, I'm just talking to older versions of me that needed to hear those things that I'm now saying. Because I look at old photos of me and I look at a post I've done. I do a lot of personal posts on my social media for those that follow me. And that post is usually what I'm saying to myself in that moment. So I put up a photo last week of an 18-year-old version of me, and I just put in there, what were 3 words you'd say to your 18-year-old self? And I said, well, I'll start the game. I love you. Like, he needed to hear that from me now, because when you consciously set off on a journey of self-discovery, that version of you already exists out there. So I find the best thing I found was, like, think of it like a cliff, right? I've got the version of me now, and then on the other cliff is the exact same cliff, but it's just a version of you that might be a bit more healthier, might look a bit younger, that might have a bit more strength, that might, for me, is a dad, is a husband. I look at him and go, well, I want to be that guy. So I'm going to jump the cliff I'm on now. I'm going to jump over, I'm going to quantum leap and jump over there. I choose to do that. And then when you consciously do that, you're setting off yourself on a very, very enlightening path. You're going to have all sorts of things come up. Like, if you want to be that version, then you're going to have tests and stuff along the way. And I know for me in the last 4 years, that's all I've had, is just one big giant test after another, to be like, well, are you ready to be that guy yet? You said you wanted to be, so now we're going to just upheal your whole life and you're going to be that guy. So, you know, things will happen, things will change, people will change. Well, for me, my environment changed. I'm now in Queensland, was in Victoria. Unfortunately, family changes, everything changes, because you've chosen to evolve and grow, and the people around you haven't. And that's the most brutal way to put it. It is quite sad. For me, it was, but it had to be that way. It really did. And I know anyone could interpret it in any way. It's like, it had to be that way. I had to evolve and grow. So if I didn't evolve and grow, I don't know where I'd be right now. And I don't even want to think about that for too long, because I am where I am, and I'm very proud of the journey I've taken, and it's still going. You know, I quantum leaped. This is why I said quantum leap. I quantum leaped the other, like, 2 weeks ago. Feel like, well, there's other things I want now, because I've already quantum leaped into the version that I am now, with a podcast, with a platform and different things. I'm like, well, what else do I want? Well, I want a family. I wouldn't mind heaps of things. I was going to quantum leap and be that next version of myself now. So in 2 years' time, who knows? I'll probably have those things.
I feel like we're talking to that guy today anyway.
Yeah, it's happening. You've made that change all that time ago. And you just touched on there about you either grow and you evolve, or you sit stagnant and you lose it.
Yeah.
When Jodie and I sort of first got together and we were going through our relationship, and we'd established obviously that we were going to be life partners, we made this decision along the way that anything we learnt or anything we did individually, we would bring back in together and always discuss what we learnt, what we did, what we talked. And that has led, for us, has been probably our greatest growth and our evolution as a couple, that has then led us exactly to where we are now. And that will never stop, because the day it stops is we allow ourselves to become complacent, and then we stop reaching for that next better version of ourselves. And I love what you're saying. I love the path that you're taking, because it's not an easy one.
No.
You know, as Jodie said, the last few years for me have been extremely challenging, which is when you mentioned about how it looked for you as my equal, as a partner, and you gave me tough love, all that, 20 years later, what I needed, I wouldn't have accepted anything else.
Yeah.
Because if you had have just sat there and mollycoddled me the whole time, I would have just about stuck that bottom lip out as that little kid again, and gone and taken my bat and ball and going home, because I'm getting, well protected here. Instead, you gave me that bit of time. You said, well, you've got to make a choice. And that choice to, exactly as you so beautifully put, that choice to keep moving forward, to quantum leap to where you want to be, is just, it's definitely part of the answer. It's never going to be the whole answer
Well,
because
you're not limited in the sense that you don't have to take small steps, because that's the great thing about energy. It doesn't differentiate between quantum leaps and small steps forward. So, like you're embodying that, which is, I think, probably one of the most powerful things that you can do when you are working with people is to lead by example. Your word is your bond. You show up fully, you show up with your heart, and that has a resonance for people. I think that's why people resonate with the message that you're putting out there, and they will continue to, as you bring exciting things like this documentary to life, and your book to life, which is going to just be a resource that just keeps ballooning it in its impact. It's brilliant. It's so great. And you're right, you really are on the pathway of all those things, of making that all happen, just as we all wish to be, because we all want to be better versions of ourselves and allow the ripple effect to, filter through our community. But our community shifts, and it's not always what it looks like. It's not always the family that we've had around us. It's not always the friends that we've had around us. And there's probably a natural grief that happens with that. And I'm curious about when you had that, like, very real hitting the ground experience of sort of waking up to who you were choosing to be in that moment. Yeah. Was there a grief associated with that, or did you feel like you just kind of went, I just saw that for what it was, and I am making a different choice?
It's a good question. So it started 2020 when I sort of awoke to the world truths. Thanks to Dale. We met, we rekindled, we were all reconnected. He was a mentor of mine when I was at university, actually. And yeah, we reconnected, and he really opened up my eyes to the world. So I thank Dale for that. But there was also a bit of a connection there for eons ago as well, that why that happened. Anyway, I was already mourning my belief systems of the world the way I perceived it. So I was already unlearning the things I had learnt from school and from TV and all those things. So I was mourning the world as I saw it. So that rock bottom table moment was then me starting the journey of mourning my old self. And the next 6 months to 12 months played out beautifully, because it was the grand final weekend that just gone of 3 years ago where I had that moment. So the next 6 months, I did a quantum healing session that really opened up my eyes to the spiritual space. And I was like I always knew I had the ancestors around me. I was just conscious of it and how I could connect with them. And then my brother and I went on a trip for 6 months with Dale up the east coast of Australia. And then you just meet all these awesome people that are a few steps ahead of you. And then I guess the morning of my old self was when we left, because in 2020 I'd stopped drinking because we weren't allowed to. Well, we weren't allowed. Well, I was the only one in my old group that wasn't following the rules. I just didn't have anyone to join me. Everyone else sort of followed them. So I stopped doing those things anyway. So I was already on the path of mourning. Like, mourning my old self was hard. Well, it wasn't hard, but it was just tough, because I let go of all these belief systems that I had of the world and myself. I let go of so much.
Yeah.
It's like, how deep do you want me to go with what I will let go of? But I just went back and just gave that little boy a hug and said, mate, it's okay. I love you. I hear you. I understand you. I acknowledge you. I support you.
Yeah.
And just telling that child that, was a really profound thing too. And that trip really opened my eyes to myself. I was rediscovering myself on that trip with my brother and Dale, and very grateful we were able to do that, because we didn't take the prick in the arm. So we didn't really have anywhere else to go but just cruise up the coast for 6 months. It was great, and yeah, coming back and then going, right, did Jason's program, and I actually wrote my book in that time too, in that 6-month trip.
Mhm.
I had all this time on my hands. I wasn't able to just go back to work because I didn't take the prick. And I thought, well, how can I impact others? Well, I have a story too. Look what I've just sort of about to overcome. And I was on a table with a kinesiologist that we met on that trip, and she brought forward it's like she was tapping into my memory, because she's like, something happened to you when you were 6. I was like, yeah, I was in a classroom at school, wasn't it? Like, I already knew where we were going. And I was sitting on the ground playing some Lego on the floor on one of those, like those road sort of carpet mats. So I was just had some Lego on there and some toy cars, and see how I remember the whole thing. And the teacher's sitting there talking to my parents, and she's like, oh, we don't really want Nathan writing about being a hero. I used to write stories about kicking footies after sirens and kicking goals and taking that last wicket when you need one run to win, or I'm the one hitting the winning runs. Like, I used to write those hero stories all the time, and I used to like write comics and real imaginative stuff, and they were like shutting it down for me. And I'm like, oh, well, I took that on as like, I'm not worthy of writing anymore. Like, so I just fit the robot mold then. So I just wrote what everyone else was doing. I just went, okay, well, and what I did in that moment was I went back to that 6-year-old version of me and said, Nate, that's one person's perception of who and what you can be. There are 6 billion people on this planet, Nathan. You can do and be multiple things. You can write. There's someone out there that will resonate with you. That changed in an instant. It went from, well, fuck you, to I'm just going to go do it anyway. So the next day, I'm just on my laptop and I'm like, wonder what book I might write. And then it just flowed. Breaking Free, a teens and young adults guide to identifying their addictions and overcoming them. It just flowed straight out. It was like this, I don't know, you could say a mystical spiritual experience where I just unlocked that gift. I don't know. I always had a writing ability there, and it just went poof, and off I went for the next probably 6 weeks. Just wrote that book. And I put in there my stuff at that time, which is obviously more now. And I put in there why I did those things and why people, like young people and people generally, do those things. Talk about the subconscious programming, different things. And then the tools that helped me then, which is now probably quadrupled. But they all helped me in a time where I needed it. And that book, having reread it only recently, I'm like, oh, I could probably just, do the whole thing again. But it's like, no, I wrote that for a particular point in time, for a particular set of people that are about to start that journey. It's like the next book can be about the last 2 years, which is more again, like you just pick up these things over time. And that book, I'm just going to say it. That book wrote itself. Like, I didn't really I don't want to sound like arrogant or anything, but I didn't put much effort in that book. That just came out. It just flowed. I didn't have to sit there and go, oh, okay, what's this chapter going to be? I just sat there and just started writing. It's like I cold wrote. I did cold write. The whole thing was there. Like, it was in the ethers somewhere, and it just poof, out it came.
It's not an arrogance. I've come to realize that it's actually, you just become the conduit for the message.
Literally.
You get to do the penmanship, but otherwise it's a story that needs to be told. And there's something very powerful in recognizing that, because that's something I resonate with. Is as I learn more, I'm like, oh, I want to go back and change the other stuff I've already done. But there's a point of accessibility that you're creating for people by writing it in that moment, because that's what you had bandwidth for. Like, that's what you could take on. And so there's a power in that accessibility.
And that's also exactly as you highlighted. It's going to hit that person right where they are at that point in time.
Yep.
And they need to hear that first message so they can make their choice whether they're going to hear the next one and the next one, and whether they're going to then put themselves onto a path of constant growth and constant change. And if they don't get that first step, or that first step is 2 rungs above them, it's not going to resonate, and it might very well just send them.
It'll feel too hard.
Down the other side of that choice, which means nothing changes, or they miss some real opportunities to be better versions of themselves.
Yeah. So I'm really curious, because that was quite a seminal experience to recognize as 6-year-old Nathan was, quietly shut down. And we know obviously the subconscious mind pays a lot of attention to everything as opposed to the conscious mind. So it's not surprising that the door bitch wasn't there to filter out that very unhelpful message to young Nathan.
I think young Nathan needed to hear it to start that journey. I don't know, 25 years later.
There's purpose in the catalyst of that. Absolutely. I am interested, though, that you then trained to be a teacher. So do you think there's something in there? Like, what comes through when I say that? Is that something that you were looking for, that kind of correction?
I
for that
feel like
redress?
I was on an unconscious level. Yeah, I was looking for that correction. I was probably looking for that validation that I never really got,
Mm.
that I never gave myself. And then I was looking to be that person that would tell little Johnny, go and write your footy stories, go and write your cricket stories, because I was told I shouldn't. So there's
Yeah.
probably a bit of that going on too. And I just wanted to make a difference. Like, I love working with children and that. Like, it still is one of my big passions. Like, I just feel like I'm connected with my inner child through, cracking dad jokes and having some fun with kids. Like, it's just, I've always done that. And during my schooling, towards the end, there was an alternative program started in Bendigo called CETA, the sports program. I went and did that. I didn't even go to senior school. I was like, that. I went and did that, and I got to work with children, and it was so fun, and I really enjoyed it. And then that sort of started that path of being that teacher, because I feel like I was about to be someone that I couldn't be for myself in that moment. And I
Yeah.
still kind of am, because when I
Yeah.
talk to children and that now, and I can see what they have going on, it's like I'm talking to that little version of Nath.
Yeah.
Every time I talk to a child, when I mentor them or whatever, it's like, yeah, I'm just giving that child what I needed in that moment, except that child's going to have all these awesome things happen. Who knows? But it's like helping me help them. So I'm just
Yeah.
talking
Well,
to, it's like they're mirroring back to me that version of myself back then, and I'm giving that child what it needs to hear. It's pretty awesome.
absolutely.
Hope that
It's
answers the
so
question.
powerful. And in fact, that's been our experience with parenting is that when we push up against our kids, we take a moment to think, what would I have liked? What,
Mm-hmm.
is this history repeating itself? And is there a different way to handle it? Because there's so much language around the idea that kids are here to test us, particularly when they're your own children. And it's such a bullshit thing because the kids are being assigned this kind of villain role of being manipulators and out to test adults. And I mean, I was even talking to someone this morning who was talking about their child's class and saying, they do really well, all things considered, because their class is very disruptive. And I'm like, what's going on with the classroom? Like, how are they actually learning? How are they teaching? What's the environment like? Is there a whole lot of EMS there that are, creating really difficult neural pathways for them to actually settle and feel grounded? Like, what children aren't naturally disruptive. They're not there to actually test people. They're there to experience life, and they're far smarter than the rest of us who are all programmed and dumbed down.
There's another layer to that too. It's like, what's the energy of the school? What's gone on in that
Mm.
classroom in the last 50, 60 years? There's energy as well. Children feel into the energy of things. They know if something dark's happened in that building. They know before they walk in there that they shouldn't be walking in there. But
Yeah.
they'll go because mum and dad are going, right? Children can feel the energy of different places. And I find that when children are in school, they can feel the energy of each other. Like, if little Johnny's over there having a meltdown or he's angry or whatever, then they're feeling into that. So it's like this big ball of energy. And I'd love to just walk in there with a bloody smudge stick or some eucalyptus and just sage the whole freaking joint, because they can tap into the energy of the place.
Yeah.
And then they're tapping into the energy of the teacher. They're tapping into and having and then the EMFs too. Like, they're just getting hit with so much on a spiritual level. Of course they're going to act out. They don't know how to comprehend the energy. They don't know how to ground. They don't know how to do these
Mm.
things.
Mm.
Like, that's why they bought, like, when mindfulness is a good thing, that's one good thing that they did get right. That's having children just laying down and just relaxing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're still keeping the shoes on them. They should be doing it out in the dirt. But that's just me. They should be doing it in dirt, but anyway, they'll do it on the carpet in the classroom. But like, connecting with the earth is so important for a child. Like,
Yes.
I can see it. Like, I just
Yeah.
give advice to parents and kids. I'm like, how about just take him to the beach for a day? Let him just take
Yeah.
his shoes
Yeah.
off for a whole day. And then they'll
Yeah.
go,
Just
yeah.
shoes off.
A few
Yeah.
days later, they'll turn me and say, yeah, he's a different kid. And I said, yeah, well, there you go. You just needed to just be grounded and connected to the earth.
Mhm.
Because
Yes.
they're souls too, but because they're so young, the soul's like, who knows how old the soul is. But the child's trying to just comprehend so
Mm.
much on multiple levels. Like,
Mm. Mm.
yeah, it's
Mm.
wild.
That they're incredible but they do acclimatise very fast, which is extraordinary. So,
Right.
I mean,
but they also, sorry, I'm going to jump in there. Those souls, you spoke there about obviously children going to a place and they know it's wrong. And we're teaching them not to listen to that intuition,
Absolutely.
that inner voice. And then we as parents are, potentially moving these children into situations that they don't necessarily want to be in, or maybe they're just not ready for yet. And that's also then leading to that disconnect of, oh, okay, well, look, we'll go in and you can have an iPad, or you can have a phone while we do what we need to do. And
here's a distraction.
Here's a distraction, rather than going, well, okay, maybe I needed to plan this better, or okay, maybe we don't need to do that here. And it's one of the things that we have been bringing more and more into our consciousness with our children, is if they object to something, or we sort of see them go, it's a no for them, we say to them, so is that a no? And I'll say, yeah, it's a no. And when we try to respect that, step back and go, okay,
yeah, even if it's inconvenient.
Yeah, and there's times where it's inconvenient.
Yeah.
But the more times, and I guess we look at that, the more times that we can say to that, have that experience for our children, for our little Nathan, and go, you know what, kid, we're here, we love you, we respect you, we're going to work with you, rather than that potential of either shutting down or that subconscious thing of going, oh, well, okay, I guess we don't have to. So trying not to put that pressure on there, so that I look at it and go, I hope my children don't have to heal as much as what I've had to heal in my lifetime. So if they can be at my evolution at 48, if they can be at my evolution when they're 20, then who knows where they're going to go.
We say it to them now. You're getting it now. You're lucky. You don't have to wait till you're in your 40s to do this crap. You can do it now. So I do get a sense that what's going to happen for the next generation is, and I'm thinking like the generation of, say, our kids' ages, which is sort of between 8 and 16, is that they will end up walking alongside adults who are aware. I don't even think they'll be like a more graduated version of us. I actually think that we'll walk hand in hand. They will. They're so switched on. I see you sort of creating those opportunities for kids in a way that I think will expand their horizons, because when it's their parents, they still kind of call bullshit a little bit on that. They go, well, you have to say that because you gave birth to me. And I'm like, well, I really don't have to say that. But, I do. But there's something very confirming, because society looks for confirmation outside of ourselves. I mean, you've articulated that beautifully today, to find the confirmation within and say, okay.
I've got an interesting point to make about that.
Go for it.
Because what you do is, when you start the awakening journey, right, you learn the world truths, you learn your own truths, you have some spiritual experiences the way I had, you go see some healers, energy healers, and then you're asking them for confirmation of things you already knew.
Yep.
So, you get taught that in school, that you must, you read something or you write something and they're giving you confirmation of what you've done. So you sort of got this childhood program, but then you sort of awaken, and then people will go and see psychics and healers, and I don't really want to call them healers. A good healer will be able to give you energy, be able to heal yourself. And that's the thing. So then we're still handing our power away as an awakened person, because then we're asking them for confirmation of, I don't know, I did this too for a couple of years, so I can understand how this happens. But you go and see someone, you're like, okay, well, when am I going to meet such and such? They'll say, yep, da-da-da-da, and then nothing happens. So then that person gets a belief system of, well, that psychic said that this was going to happen on this time and this day, yada, yada. Too much information, by the way. Shouldn't give that much information in the first place, because that person attaches to that outcome. So when you manifest, you've got to detach, but then they're attaching to an outcome that they need to detach from.
Correct.
As a good psychic, you probably should say, look, this might I see it's happening for you at some point, but you've got to detach from the outcome and do some work to get there, because that person will sit there and go, oh, Johnny said that I was going to meet someone today, and fuck.
Yeah.
I didn't meet that person today. Well, Johnny, did you go out into a space where you were uncomfortable? Did you go somewhere where you probably don't go all the time? Did you, I don't know, did you forgive yourself for allowing whatever to happen in your life? Did you do some action steps to make that happen? Oh, nah. Well, that's why it didn't happen. It's not the psychic's fault, brother. It's your fault.
Yeah.
You're the reason why it didn't happen, because you didn't action that timeline.
Yeah.
So psychics and
Yeah, there's
healers
no
and stuff,
opportunity for new.
they see timelines, they see multiple. I see multiple. But I'm not just going to say you're going to meet this person this time, because that person will attach to that. Yes, they want to hear that, but you're giving them that much information that of course they're going to attach to it. And then it's not going to happen. I had some beautiful, beautiful psychic friends tell me early on that I was going to write a book and do these things. They didn't say what book, what time, what day, They said, yeah, I just see you writing books. I'm like, awesome. I'll action that. So I'm just going to sit by the laptop and see what comes through. So I actioned it. It's like now that psychic was right because I took action and it's here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Word.
Like a mic drop. But even if you're not awakened and not then you're trusting the news for your source. So then you're then unconsciously manifesting what's happening in the world. So if they're putting fear in you, saying that an invisible thing's going to attack grandma and all these things, then you're allowing that invisible threat to attack whatever it wants. And their outcome was getting pricks in the arm. So what they do it, they manipulate the stats. They tell you that if you don't get it, you're fucking nuts. And if you don't get it, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't. It's like they're projecting a mind virus in you that you're going to manifest that outcome. So then when push comes to shove in their law system, well, you did it to yourself.
Yeah.
Like our hands are clean. We didn't come and knock on your door and say, "Yep, Johnny, you need to go and get that thing. We're going to force prick you." They just psychologically programmed you to go and do it yourself. And they've been psychologically programming you to do a lot of things since you flew out of the womb. They've psychologically programmed you to take a prick in your arm when you knew you shouldn't have. They psychologically program you to live a life like a king, like Charlie Sheen and Stifler. They psychologically program you. They can psychologically program you to do anything, if you're not consciously aware of what's coming in through your eyes and through your ears.
Yep.
When I learned that information, I just went switch off TV, switch off mainstream music, switch off mainstream radio. And then I started putting in some content that was powerful, that was empowering. Hypnosis recordings, affirmations, all these things to reprogram my mind. It's like going to a gym, right? You want to go to the gym and get big arms? You got to go and do some work, mate. You got to go in there and do some bicep curls. You got to go to the mental gym. You got to switch off the crap that you're putting in through your eyes. You got to understand the music you're listening to. He's probably programming you to do some pretty insane shit. So I'd be getting that out of your ears and putting in some empowering content. The more empowering content you surround yourself with through your eyes, through your ears, that will change your life because you're then reprogramming your mind. You're retraining your mind. You can do that. You're well on the way. Got to understand
you're making
where
affirmative
it comes
decisions.
From. Yeah.
Well, you
got to understand where it comes from and how it's orchestrated and how it's done through subliminal messaging and all these things. I believe that's all the big tests for us to regain our power.
So
bit of a rant there, but
it's brilliant. I mean, we're just digesting that, but we resonate at a cellular level on what you're saying. So when you then listen to your own guidance system, what does that say to you now?
It's about trust. It's about trust, though, because for me, I always had an internal guidance system, but I let people. So it's a boundary thing. I let people tell me stuff that was against my knowing. So I allowed them to, I don't know, take over or allow me to go against that internal compass that had been speaking to me for a very long time. So it's about trust. It's like, okay, what has that guidance told me that I already know to be true? So for me, it's trusting myself and trusting my own intuition over someone else that, how can I put this as an example? Oh yeah, we're going to go to the supermarket today. Oh, I don't think we should go in there. Something's going to happen. I don't know what, but I just got a bad feeling that something's going to happen, so I don't want to go there. Oh, but we need to get milk or we need to get honey. We just got to go there. Oh, all right, we'll go. Bang. You walk in there, you might have the whole joint blow up. You might walk in there might be a bloody murder scene. You might walk in there and you might have someone screaming at you, abusing the shit out of you, and you go, I shouldn't have gone in there today. So you walk home and you go, I shouldn't have gone in there today. Yeah, no, I had that feeling I shouldn't have gone in there. But people will do that all the time. Go and ask anyone on the street and they'll say, yeah, gee, I remember that. I shouldn't have gone in there that day, but I was in there. Or I shouldn't, whatever.
You're so right. I mean, that happens like on a daily basis, probably multiple times. And it's interesting because this week we had exactly that happen, except we got to luxuriate in the alternative, which is filled with missing out trauma, right? And that's where I was like, this week has been so juicy. Our eldest has flown to Canada by himself, so we're in all the trust space right now. But we rolled up to Tullamarine Airport, 2-hour drive.
Monday morning
with the entire family to see him off. And then it unraveled to the point where he didn't board. And then he almost boarded 2 minutes after they'd closed the gate. And then something else happened. And I turned around to him and looked him in his left eye. So he was receiving the information. And I could see that he was, feeling all the feels about not taking off and being on his great adventure because it had all been built up. And I just said to him, it is not meant to be today. We don't know what the experience would be if you are to go. And there are roadblocks. The universe is supporting you to not travel today, and it will be tomorrow, probably, if we can get our shit sorted.
Yeah.
And it was so interesting because I think, particularly after, I recently dislocated my shoulder by going into the surf for a dip, and it was too big. And I had the body say no, but I went, nah, I'll be right. So I had the experience of what most people experience, which is the after effects of not listening to the no. We got to then negotiate how that felt to honour the no that the universe was providing. And the thing that was surprising for me, and I think this is where it's going to trip people up, is that missing out trauma kicks in, or the FOMO.
Yeah.
And the grief that comes through, because we all just wanted to cry.
Yeah.
Didn't we?
Well, there was the feelings, I guess. I mean, we had our own emotions with
Yeah.
where we felt that we'd failed him. We felt that we were, trying not to put that frustration, anger out about the fact that this had happened. And we could have been ahead of the game and all those sorts of things. But we had that fear of missing out trauma. But what I would say is that how fast the refractory time was, how fast the recovery was from that. I mean, I know we then went up the next day, left the same time in the morning, didn't take all the kids with us this time, and got up and everything went absolutely, couldn't have gone any easier.
Yeah.
No.
So smoothly on the plane, called us at 2:30 in the morning to let us know that he'd touched down to make his connecting flight, and then was off with his grandparents. And you go, that whole experience of missing out on the Monday, it really means nothing.
It passed, and it's definitely not worth a dislocated shoulder or a murder scene or anything like that. And so that's what interests me, is the juice of how we better navigate those quiet moments of, but it might be fine, even though you're honouring the no that's within you. Do you have strategies that you do, since you are honouring this on a daily basis?
I act on the first feeling. You talk about footy terms. For anyone that listens to footy, they always say, give your first instinct, give your first handball. Well, it's the same with life and the same with feeling. If you have that, it's like identifying that first feeling. If that first feeling is, I shouldn't go there, don't go there. That first feeling is, yeah, let's go. It's like that first feeling is the right one. And it's about identifying what that first feeling is. That's the key. That was a big key for me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And then the trust that goes in with that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, with the prick in the arm, a lot of people had that feeling. I don't want to get that thing, but then they forced your hand. So people still went against their internal compass. Unfortunately, as part of the cycle we're all on at the moment, some of those people are no longer with us because they went against their internal compass.
Yeah.
Or they're very, 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 very sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like they knew at their heart they shouldn't have done it, but they did it anyway because they were You know, it was the job or it was the money or whatever it was that took power over them. They allowed the money and the job and the power of that. That's what they were ruled by greed. Unfortunately, harsh truth. And some of those people are unfortunately no longer with us today because they went against their internal compass. So the body just shut down. The body went up.
Yeah,
You listen to me.
that's right.
So I'm just going to not listen to you.
There's definitely that, but I think that there's definitely also that groundswell of everyone else doing it. So the herd mentality, not even the program herd mentality of I mustn't be right because everyone else is doing it. So that kind of momentum that happens of energy, and which can go in either direction, right? But also that, oh, what if I don't? You know, what if this does kill grandma? Can I live with that? I mean, that's all real science of images stuff.
I could tie this in a little bow for you in about a minute here. We're all pack animals. We mirror, mimic, and copy each other. And as children between the ages of 0 and 7, 0 and 6, however old you want to be, 0 to 8, whatever it is, you're walking around picking up on all your programs from parents, from school, from friends of friends, from TV, from magazines, from iPads, from all this stuff. And then your subconscious mind is just getting hammered with all these things and it's trying to work out what's the safest card to play. So if you had alcohol in your house as a very prominent thing, that's a safe card for you to play out there in society when you grow up. So when you grow up, you might see some people over there having a drink where you saw mum and dad drinking, and who knows what else you saw with mum and dad when they were drinking. That's safe. You want to bond with your parents. You want to bond with a tribe. You'll go and sit over there at that table and you'll pick up a drink because it's safe. You know, part of the mind wants to keep you safe. And the way they orchestrated the whole psychological operation in the last 4 years was they got people literally by the heart too, and put it up there as, well, if everyone else is doing it, then I'm going to do it. People aren't necessarily aware of they're walking around very unconsciously. But the conscious people, the ones that are work on themselves and have done a bit of this work for a while, I'm okay with being in an uncomfortable position. But if you're asked everyday Joe out there, they love doing what's comfortable because it's easy, it's safe, and it's familiar. I say fuck that. I'd rather be uncomfortable, unfamiliar, and unsafe because then that's my chance to grow and evolve.
Brilliant.
So for me, the best thing I did was I walked away and said, no, I'm not taking that prick in the arm. Look what I've done since not taking that thing. If I'd have taken that thing, I could be very crook right now. That's a timeline that could have happened. But I went, no thanks. My life got better. My life didn't get worse. But people were so scared and were so traumatized that they didn't believe in themselves and they didn't believe that their life could get better. Well,
by design.
Everyone I've spoken to that didn't take the prick in their arm, their life got better. Because they trusted themselves and they trusted the universe, God, Jesus, whatever you believe, that something better would come. And I did that and something better did come.
Yeah. Just living your life with trust and surrender in the
100%.
unknown is just so powerful. So we're really excited to follow along with what you're going to do. I know people can find you on socials and you are actively sharing just the most authentic, heart-based, important messages. And so I really do encourage people to go and find you on socials because, I mean, I just love that you just show up just as you are. It's beautiful. And there is a real resonance. But you're going to be bringing out lots of exciting things. So you've got the book coming out soon?
Yeah, soon. Yeah, hopefully by the end of the year. I did ask the publisher when. They haven't replied yet. So I'm sort of like that little waiting for the response. But yeah, there's that. And then there's the documentary Education and the Burden and Baggage, Education Unpacked. And yeah, that was formed through a friend of mine's son who was having a bit of a tough time in school, which he would be comfortable with me saying. And and she said, he loves filming and editing and different things. And I went, oh, maybe it's a good time to start that documentary. I'd been preparing for a while. Like I did want to do a documentary on the school system, and I just sort of surrendered to the process. There was going to be help that will find me, and sure enough, and then you put it out there, don't you? You sort of, like, Zach made the flyer for me, and that got put out there, and then I met you guys, and then just lo and behold, I'm talking to you on my podcast about a month ago, and Tom's there, and your son. I'm like, oh, there's another helper. So it's like you're just meeting the people now, right? You just sort of put it out there, and the people will come.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. And the conversation's so important.
Yeah,
because
exactly
we're
right.
so unimaginative in terms of how we could do education differently. It's just, oh, this is how it's always been done, and it's just not fit for purpose.
Well, it's how it's always been done to our understanding.
Yes.
Correct.
There's no doubt it's been changed.
Yeah.
But that's something we'll look forward to seeing as you produce your doco.
Yes.
No, we're gonna talk to you again because this is very exciting, just following this process and seeing it evolve. And I have no doubt you're obviously a master manifester, so probably next time we talk you'll have a bunch of other exciting prongs in the fire.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing that's just one thing I want to reiterate. For anyone listening out there and watching, we all have the power to do these things too. It's not just like, it's not just me that just figured it out. Like, we can all figure it out. It's just a matter of trusting and surrendering and having that faith and that hope that there is something better out there, and acting on that first instinct and first feeling, and just starting to take care of yourself a bit better can allow your body to then start to do the cool shit that I'm talking about doing. Like, we can all do this. It's just a matter of taking that first step towards it. And for me, it was just looking myself in the mirror and saying, hey, stop drinking, Nathan. And then I fall through a table, and here we are. Like, we can all do this too. And if there's one thing that I'd love to reiterate is that you have the power as well. And you can go and see healers, you can go and see doctors, you can go and see therapists and hand your power away and let them fix you. But it's like, you have the power to fix you. You always have had the power to fix you. You were just told that you don't have any. Well, I'm here to tell you, fuck that, you do. You have so much power and so much potential. And if you can step into just a little bit of it and get a little bit of a taste, there's no turning back.
Yeah. You don't have to believe in the quantum leap yet, but you have to know it's out there and available for the taking.
100%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have loved this conversation. Thank you, Quanta folks, for joining us. Just more epic information, and go and find Nathan Francis on socials, spreading the good juice, and follow along for this incredible documentary that's going to come on board. The book, I can't wait to get my hands on it. There's just going to be resources packed in there. The Breaking Free podcast with all the amazing people that you talk to. The list goes on.
100 episodes in.
100. I know, that's right.
Awesome.
I listened to the first. I listened to the first episode the other day. I think we're still recording it. So yeah, I listened to the first episode the other day, and yeah, even if you're someone that hasn't started something yet, and you should be starting something, go and start it. Like, I could have said in there, it's not the perfect time yet. I still hadn't really learned how to speak in front of a microphone or how to speak in general. And didn't know how to really edit or start a podcast. I just went, fuck that. I started anyway.
Yep.
Best thing I did was start that thing. I just learned along the way. I went, okay, well, that first episode, gee, I cut that guest off a lot. Okay, how can I interview better? I might listen to a few other podcasts that my other mentors are doing. And, yes, you got to listen, Nathan. Gotcha. So now I can just let the person speak. I don't have to say anything. I'm allowing them a space to speak, and I don't have to say anything.
Yeah, you're just bringing the high vibe.
And then the book too, right? I could have said, it's not the perfect time to write a book yet. I just healed that inner child last week, and it's not the perfect time yet. I haven't really done anything. I don't really have any labels. I'm not a doctor or anything, and I'm telling people that they need to eat organic food. Not really it's like, fuck that. We'll finish on this, I reckon. This is the biggest fear amongst society, and this is how you overcome it. We're all in fear of looking at our grandchildren, great-grandchildren in the eye, full of regret for the life we had, the choices we made, everything. Well, I want to look my great-grandchildren, grandchildren in the eye and say, you know what, I did some cool shit. I healed our family trauma. I healed it generationally, so you don't have to deal with the shit I had to deal with. You've got a clean slate. You've got a clean slate to do whatever the fuck you want. I'm just going to cruise off into the afterlife and guide you to it. I did the doco. There it is. You can watch that now. I did the book. I did multiple books. I did the podcast. I spoke when I just didn't feel like I should speak. I did all this cool shit for you to inspire you. Now, go away and be awesome. I'm just going to cruise off in the afterlife. I'm out. See you later. No regrets. Like, we do that now. So let's look at our children in the eye on that deathbed and say, look, I did the cool shit that I said I was going to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Have no
what's
regrets.
incredible, just finishing on that note, is that although that is our motivation right now, when we're talking to those great grandchildren, we won't even need to say that, because they will know, having chosen to come into this life with their lineage, to go, I'm going in for the clean slate experience in the skin sack. And
100%.
what an amazing reason to quantum leap.
Yep.
Nathan, thank you so much for your time. We're gonna.
That inspires me to get out of bed every day.
Yeah.
That moment in time, whenever that
Brilliant.
is.
I get inspired to get out of bed by the kids coming in. So each to their own.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. I really appreciate the time.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Good
to talk with you. See you, Quanta folks. We'll talk to you again for another Fark the Shoulds podcast, or our little sister podcast, Alchemizing Education. You're all amazing. You're all powerful. Go do some cool quantum leaps.